Welcome to the Fast Leader Podcast, where we explore convenient yet effective shortcuts that will help you get ahead and move forward faster by becoming a better leader. And now, here's your host, customer and employee engagement expert, and certified emotional intelligence practitioner, Jim Rimbaugh.
Call Center Coach develops and unites the next generation of call center leaders. Through our e-learning and community, individuals gain knowledge and skills in the 6 core competencies that is the blueprint that develops high-performing call center leaders. Successful supervisors do not just happen. So go to callcentercoach.com to learn more about enrollment and download your copy of the Supervisor Success Path ebook now. Okay, Fast Leader Legion, today I'm excited because I have somebody on the show today who's going to help, I would dare to say, every single person who is in this particular spot. Nathan Jamel was born and raised in Texas. Nathan was the youngest of 3 boys, and although his parents divorced when he was 12 years old, his family is still very close. At the age of 46, Nathan will share with you that his family still spends most every Christmas together. His parents, Sherry and Sid, have been great role models for them, showing them the power of the love for family. As 2 very hardworking parents, Sid and Sherry also showed the kids that the value of hard work and being proud of it is something that's important, and that you want to do that no matter what you do. Take pride has always been a belief of the family. Although Nathan's first job was at the age of 15, he says he started his sales career at the age of 12 selling snow cones in the park during his summer breaks. Nathan kept following his dream of growing his career, and he went from electronics and retail to insurance sales, and then technology sales, and then leadership. Nathan went from a salesperson selling the first digital beeper to a top director at Sprint Wireless for over 9 years. Nathan has spent the last 2 decades helping and coaching leaders and organizations on how to build winning cultures and helping great leaders become great coaches. He is the author of 3 best-selling books, The Leadership Playbook, The Sales Leaders Playbook, and The Sales Professionals Playbook, and his latest release is Serve Up, Coach Down. Nathan wants his legacy to be founded upon the impact he's made on others' lives through his work and his relationships. He wants to be someone his kids and grandkids and great-grandkids can be proud of. Nathan Jamel is a Texan who lives in Southern California. He's married to his lovely bride, Shannon, and they have 4 kids, 1 boy, 3 girls, plus a brand new 2-month-old granddaughter. Nathan Jamel, are you ready to help us get over the hump?
Man, I'm ready. Let's do this.
I'm glad you're here. Now, I've given my Legion a little bit about you, but can you share what your current passion is so that we can get to know you a little better?
Man, I'll tell you, my passion is just what I get to do every day. It is crazy that I get paid to do this job. I mean, it's nuts. I just came back from 2 city visits, and I get to, get on stage and work with groups, whether they're small or large, and I get to change. And I know people don't want to say, I'm not so big, I want to change people's lives. And maybe I don't mean this is arrogance. I just mean I want to be that guy. I think I change people's lives. So I give myself that value, and maybe it's wrong. And so I think that's what lets me go through this journey that I'm just loving. And I get to do it with, as you mentioned, my awesome family and some unbelievable people.
It's interesting that you say that, because I would dare to say that a lot of people have to probably embrace that feeling and not be ashamed or embarrassed or, feel that it is arrogant. Because when you look at one of the core attributes that is necessary in order to really help people to succeed, it is just that. I mean, it is that, hey, I want to do this. I want to help people. I want to serve up, and I want to coach down, quite frankly, coach all around, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And so I say that. And so I always like to tell people, listen, I don't say this that I'm going to change your lives because I'm that smart or powerful. It's that I want to be that significant to people. And it's not based off a need of self-worth as much as it's just so much fun.
It definitely is. I mean, I think for me, and it took me a while to figure it out. I think you figured it out much sooner than I did, but I get significant joy from that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's some points in the book. I mean, quite frankly, I think it's just the individual chapters stand alone as themselves. I don't think that it's necessarily a roadmap all the way through. However, I think they would help you on your road and where to step going through the book. But I think it's really important when you start talking about this leader in the middle thing, because it's easy to think that, oh, I'm a middle manager. And that's not what you're talking about.
No.
Because in the book, you talk about one of the most difficult leadership positions in business today is also one of the most common. The leader in the middle. Leading from the middle simply means that you lead a team, sometimes many teams of hundreds of people, and simultaneously report to someone as your boss. And then you say, and how many people do you know who do not answer to anyone? Because it doesn't matter where you are in an organizational structure or in an ecosystem for that matter. I mean, you always have to answering to somebody, if it even isn't minimally it's yourself.
Here's the thing. There's a couple. So no one wants to be called a middle manager because it's degrading, right? We think it's low-level managers. And that's why I use the leader in the middle, because I was doing an event, and the president who reports to CEO, he's a leader in the middle, even though he runs hundreds and thousands of employees. And so the problem with it is this, is that the leader in the middle, from the frontline manager to the president, or even the CEO answer to the board, is the follower and the leader on every action, decision, or response. You are both. You have to take direction and give direction simultaneously. And the mistake we have made in the past is we were taught to do it from two different perspectives. And not only that, the wrong perspectives. And so my challenge, and as we talk about the leader in the middle, is it's so hard because we don't teach people how to balance. We've told them for years, serve your people. And I think, and what I say in this book is, you should serve those who pay you. And the way you serve your people is by making them better. So you should coach them, not entitle them.
I think you bring up some really important points. And you kind of alluded to this, because you talk about how did this happen in this particular issue you're talking about. And and you're saying that the way that most leaders have been taught, trained, conditioned, lead, serve, and follow is not only misdirected, but it's hindered their path to greater success, innovation, creating cultures filled with stronger and happier employees. And so for me, I often find, and I'm going back and reflecting, I've done it myself and I still do it, and I try to make sure that I don't, but I actually cause disservice so many times to other people. Just the other day, I was having a parent-teacher conference with my wife about my youngest child. And I said, I think that what I'm seeing is that a lot of people have a problem with self-discipline, including me. And I think it all starts with us disserving. Like, for example, we tell people, well, you can do and be anything you want. That isn't really true. What we have to do is methodically go through a process by which we figure out strengths, we figure out opportunities, and we execute upon being able to get to our goals and becoming the things that we want to become.
Well, and I think to your point, we can say you can try to be anything you want, and you can do all the work, and you might succeed if you have the right attribute skill sets and you have the right, and you said it, discipline. The problem with it is we don't say you can try to be anything you want to be. We say you can be anything you want to be. And by the way, we say it as if discipline's a given. And the real reason we don't achieve greatness isn't because of lack of skills or attributes. It's because of lack of discipline, to your point. I always tell people you read in the book, there's a section called the knowledge gap. And the knowledge gap is the gap between what we know we should do based on what we are doing, what we know. And the missing piece, what you mentioned, is the discipline.
And that's also when we talk about, developing as a leader, is that, it isn't a situation that having the knowledge, it being transferred to us, through either reading, book, classroom, workshop, whatever. It isn't that actually assists us to being successful down that pathway. It's the actual practice component. We have to apply it. We have to take action. And I think that's often talking about that self-discipline piece, and you even talking about in the book of the skill versus the will thing, that we have to oftentimes get past.
Yeah. A leader asked me yesterday, I was doing a workshop, and he says, Nathan, I got to tell you, the one thing I struggle with is how you seem to have a move people up or out kind of rapidly process. You believe, I get a sense that you just want to either you're in or out. And I said, no, yes, but no. And what I mean by that is I want people committed to either be in or out. And as a leader, our job, when someone's not performing, instead of just constantly letting them not perform like most leaders do because they've never been taught how to coach, they've been taught to manage the way they were managed, is I want you to grab that employee or that team member and say, identify, is it they don't have the skills or do they not have the will? And then, but you can't take the next step if you don't know which one it is. If it's a lack of skill, then you as a leader have to identify, can you teach it to them? Are they in the right, is this in their wheelhouse? And do everything you can. And if they can, help them find a job that is in their wheelhouse, something they can thrive in, because everyone wants to thrive. And if it's a lack of will, then you have to get them to make a decision. Are you willing to do this? Are you willing to commit? As if you're not, let's go find something you will be willing to do versus stay here and both of us just tread water. And as a leader, it's detrimental to the organization.
It totally is. And it sabotages that engagement of everybody else around. And when you start talking about these issues associated with why do people leave, for example, and I always kind of chuckle when I hear people talk about, well, it's actually was the pay, or I left for a greater opportunity. And I have to pause and say, well, whatever made you come to that conclusion? Whatever made you decide that, you know what, I am not getting paid enough for this? Or, you know, hey, well, this is a better opportunity. It's those things that has actually driven you. And oftentimes it's, I look at everybody else around me and I'm the only one carrying the weight. It is, you know, I see people getting away with things that I know I wouldn't do or shouldn't do. I mean, it's all of those. I'm not getting recognized for my work. I don't feel valued. I'm not given the tools. It's those things that are really driving the decision. Say, you know what, you're just not paying me enough. I'm out of here.
It's an easy excuse to leave without blaming someone and hurting someone's feelings. Which is the same reason why I constantly work with leaders on my executive coaching. Never match an employee's leaving salary, an offer. If someone offers your employee, if they say, I'm leaving for more money, don't you ever match it. Because you've said two things. One, I'm only going to pay you more if you make me, which is not a good thing to be. And two, if someone wants to leave for truly growth opportunity, let them go. Let them be great. But ultimately, you might find, to your point, it had nothing to do with money or opportunity. And you can say, listen, is there any, and really dig into it. And you'll find that many times your point is it's not usually money or opportunity.
It isn't. There's a lot of studies that have also proven that when that does occur, and it does, you know, in other words, I paid them and they stayed, the amount of time, tenure and duration as far as them actually staying is not as long as you think it is.
And to your point, anybody staying for just money is staying for the wrong reason.
Most definitely.
Yeah. And so into the book, like we talk about, you cannot. And so I identify the difference between serving up, and I want to be clear, serving up is not sucking up. Sucking up is a manipulative behavior to mitigate one's actions. Serving up is a genuine sense that says, hey, you pay me and I want to do everything I can to make you proud and achieve the goals you give me. And you can't serve up if you're working for money alone. It's impossible.
That's totally true. And so you bring up a really interesting point, because I've had this conversation before, because even as a youth, I made the mistake when I talked about that, sucking up, brown nosing and things like that. And I'm like, I am not going to be part of that. However, I didn't take the aspect of, serving and supporting and committing and, all of those things that are loyalty and trust based. I just said, I'm not going to do it. And so because I chose not to do it, well, therefore, I didn't get the loyalty and I didn't get the trust and all of those things back. And I had to get over myself and really take a different mindset approach.
Yeah, so to your point, I think we learn as we get older and more mature. And I had some great mentors that helped me early in my life, which thank God. Because I always tell people, I don't serve up and out and serve people because I'm some noble person. I'm not that good of a human. I do it for selfish reasons. I do it because it makes me feel valuable. I do it because I love doing it, right? It's like, yeah, I did that. And in return, I don't feel bad for asking for help or, hey, can you help me here? Because I had one person tell me a long time ago, don't ever decline someone's help if they can help you, because you're taking away their blessing. You're taking away what gives them value and purpose. And so, it's again, I don't do it because I'm some saint. I do it because I believe it's what I get paid to do. And the more I do it, the more people will pay me, and the more happiness we'll have.
Well, what you just described right there is the word grace and graciousness, and you need to allow that to happen. You're right. And it's a hard thing for some of us, to actually accept, but we've got to, again, get over ourselves. Now, you mentioned something about the back of the book. There's another part of the back of the book, which quite frankly, I just loved in a lot of different ways. But you talk about the snowboarding story. Now, I'm not going to steal your thunder. I'll just let you share what that's about.
Yeah. So in the book, I share a story about my wife and I were going snowboarding with some friends of ours in Canada. And so we get ready to go, and our friend of ours, kind of this young, kind of taking the world by charge and all tough guy. And he says, "Hey, y'all ready to go to the mountain?" I said, "Well, we're taking private lessons in the morning." And he says, "Wait a minute, I thought y'all ski like 2 or 3 times a year and have done this for over 10 years. I said, "We do. And we take a lesson every year, the beginning of the year." And he says, "Why? Don't you know how to, you know how to snowboard?" I said, "See," and his name's Nathan, ironically enough. And I said, "Nathan, because you come here thinking you know everything and you never get better. My goal is I know one thing, no matter how good I am, that kid who, and I call them kid because they're young men and women, but that person who is 10 times better than me will make me better this year. And I'm safer and I have more fun and I'm constantly improving." And it goes along with, and I use that story as a reference to how we should be as leaders in business and people. I read How to Be a Good Husband books. I read How to Be a Good Father books. I'm always looking. I have a 22-year-old son, a 16-year-old daughter, an 8-year-old daughter, and a 6-year-old daughter. And I'm telling you, I'm pretty much the worst parent in the world, but I try every year and every day to be a little bit better of a dad, and a little bit better of a husband, and a little bit better of a leader. And so it's kind of like when I start my speeches, I say, don't listen to what we discuss as in the mindset of, yep, I know that, or yes, I do that. I want you to listen with the mindset, okay, yes, I do that, and how can I use, or how do I find a way to be better at what I'm doing, even though I'm really good at it? And that's what the snowboard story is about. It's that constant hunger and almost humility. And again, I don't want to say I'm some humble, nice guy, but it's the humility to say, I can always get better, and truly not just say it, but do the discipline, the action to do it. And so, the good news about being a C- student, 5'3" athlete, a backup quarterback to the backup team, is I've always had all my life plenty of places to improve. And so, and I do it. And so, and I got to say, I probably didn't do it as purposefully as I do now and have since 1998, when a mentor of mine, who was my boss, walked in my office and said, "Nathan Jamel, what books do you read?" I said, "I read magazines." He said, he looked me dead in the eye and he says, "Hey kid, if you don't learn to read and get better, you will get passed behind." And so that changed. I don't know why I listened to him, but it changed my entire development of life. And so I try to pass that on to others.
I think that's a very great point. And for me, what I've tried to, talking about that mindset piece, is tried to tell myself that it's really a duty. It's a duty that I have to actually execute upon, because I have, and I'm responsible for the development of 3 kids. I'm responsible for the development of those, who report to me. I'm responsible for those, that are part of, Call Center Coach and part of our academy and trying to develop frontline leaders. If you can look in the background, I got books all over the darn place. My office is just loaded.
You look like a public library.
I may have to have a book sale, but I don't want to let them go. But the point being is that if I'm not invested, in my continuous learning, there's no way that I can continually learn or teach others. It's just not going to happen.
You say that, and it's interesting. Everyone wants to know the secrets of the top performers, the really wealthy, the really successful, the super leaders of the world, the top CEOs. And when you tell them the greatest secret of the top CEO, people don't change. And so you take all the attribute skill sets away and everything they do and whatever industry they're in. There's one thing top CEOs have in common. Now we realize this. The average CEO makes 500 times the average employee. And everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe they make that much money." They should, first of all. And why they do has nothing to do with what they do in the job. It's what they do in their development. An average CEO reads 52 books a year. An average person buys one book a year, and only half of those read it. And it's about that constant personal development. And I always tell people, listen, if you're looking for the secret of what CEOs do that you can do tomorrow, I don't care if it's books, audiobooks, classes, lectures, works, I don't care what, but it's the discipline to focus and grow as a person and a leader. And take that. And I found that, the more we're willing to develop, the more success and the more happiness we'll have.
And I think that right there is really kind of a little bit of the trick on the word fast leader and the Fast Leader Show is that, it doesn't come quick. It comes with doing the correct things. And then I'll be darned if what happens is all this velocity and all of these things start coming easier. And so it's like you can't shortcut it. It's not the way that it works.
Yeah, and so when I wrote the Serve Up Coach Down, I said, I don't need to write another book to write a book. The 3 books I read every single year, and they're they're my staples, is How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, and The 4 Agreements. And those 3 books are the books that I read every year. And when I wrote Serve Up Coach Down, I wanted a book that leaders wouldn't just read and put away. I wanted that book that in 30 years from now, people are doing what I'm doing, reading it every year, because being a leader in the middle and serving up and coaching down is difficult. And what really made this book such a big deal for me, and you probably felt this when you read it, is I tell people, when you first read my book, as you first read the first 10 pages, you're going to shake your head, no, 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 no. And then about 12 pages, maybe, okay, maybe. And then you'll get through it, you're like, okay, I'm in. And I always tell people, reread the beginning. And the reason why is I'm telling you everything you've been told for the last 20 years is wrong. And we say we want to hear something new, but when we hear something new than what we believe, we're like, our first emotion is to push it away. And so that's when I knew I had something, is when that was the most common feedback I got. And I don't know if you felt that way as you read it, but that's the most common feedback I get.
Well, yeah, and I always tell people I'm a little bit backwards because I'm left-handed, and a lot of times I'll go from the back of a book and then come to the front. And so for me, I found the conclusion about the snowboarding first, and I was like, I got to talk about that. But I would dare to say that I could definitely see how those things would happen. People have that type of reaction. So I will go back and try to read from that perspective so that it can open up even more in my mind. Okay, so now what we're talking about here as far as managing in the middle, leading in the middle, is we need a lot of inspiration in order to be able to do that. And one of the things that we look at on the show are quotes in order to help give us some inspiration. Is there a quote or two that you like that you can share?
I'll give you a couple of them. One is to be so humble that you can be coached, and be so confident that you can serve. A person's job is to make your leaders look good. And when people hear that, the first response is, no, it's not. That's not my job. My job is to do my best I can. And I said, let me rephrase the quote, or let me rephrase the statement. Do you want to be the person that your boss and your organization can count on? And they say yes. I said the same thing when I said your job is to make your boss look good. One is self-serving and ego. I want to be the one my people can count on. The other one is selfless. I want to make my boss look good by doing the best job I can and exceeding their expectations. And so if people can live by those 3 simple quotes, to be so humble that you can be coached, so confident that you can serve, and understand my job is to make my boss look great, you will understand the umbrella that the Serve Up Coach Down mindset of a leader falls in. I don't know if that helps or matches what you're looking for.
I think that was perfect. Now, I do have to say, and we kind of touched on this a little bit ago, is that you didn't come to all these conclusions, at an early age, and I know I haven't. I'm still learning. But there's humps that we've had to get over that kind of bring us to where we are. Is there a story that you can share with us to help us get over the hump?
I got more mistakes than my 6-year-old daughter's spelling test. I tell people all the time, there's two things that all my knowledge and if you want to call it wisdom or information I put in my books comes from. It comes from two places: great leaders and great people I've learned from, and everything I've done wrong and continue to do wrong. A story for you is this. I talk about the speed of change and how the reason why we struggle, and we've been talking about change management since change existed. And the number one reason why we struggle with change management is because as organizations, I'm going to say this slowly because it sounds confusing, is because as leaders and organizations, we spend more time convincing those we pay that change is good than those that pay us. So it takes longer to convince the employees than the customers that change is good. And the reason why is because we're taught on buy-in. Let me tell you my hard lesson on buy-in. I was told you got to get employees buy-in as a young director in my career. And so I was taught you ask everyone the situation and you get everyone's feedback. But I didn't know that you shouldn't not get feedback when you can't use it. Because sometimes in business you get marching orders. And sometimes people want your insight. Well, I got marching orders, but I wanted to get my people to buy in to the marching orders. So I got everyone's feedback, and they gave me all their feedback. The only problem is none of it matched the marching orders, right? And so I go down and say, okay, I've got all your feedback, and we're going to do this. And you know what my employees took from that? Not that I got buy-in. They said, yeah, Nathan doesn't care. He just gets our ideas and ignores it. And what I learned about buy-in is two things. One, if you can't use it, don't ask for it. If you can't use, don't get buy-in by making it their idea. Get buy-in. I think Simon Sinek wrote a great book on the why behind the why, right? Get buy-in by explaining to people why we're going to do it and how we're going to own the decision and not the making the decision, but we're going to own the execution of the decision. I think the second piece of it is that let our people know before there ever is a question, a change, or anything else in direction. Let our people know that, listen, I want you to work for an organizational leader that you believe in, that my interest, that I have your best interest in mind, and that the leaders of our organization know what's going on. Because sometime, whether in the near future or later in the future, there's going to be a decision made, and it's going to have a negative impact maybe on us. But know that believe in those that made the decision, know what's going on. And our number one job is not to question why it happened. We can ask why so we understand, but not why to prove wrong. And let's be the ones to move the fastest forward. And if you can have that mindset and explain that belief before you ever have this discussion that Nathan had to do and make a big mistake of buy-in, you won't have to ask for buy-in ever again because it's inherent. And so that I will tell you, that almost ended my career as a director, because I lost the trust and faith of my people, and I didn't just do it one time. I did it 3 or 4 times.
Well, I mean, I think that's a great story. And as you were talking, as I started thinking about the formula, to actually receive the buy-in, if you want to talk about that as an ultimate goal, is that the ingredients do not include BS anywhere.
No. I mean, but that's why it takes us so long to get change in business, because we're trying to get buy-in instead of saying, hey guys, here's why we're doing it. And you might not see it, but it is why. And I talk about a story in there, but I tell people it's not about blind faith. It's not about being a yes man or yes woman. It's about being in a place that you're proud to wear the company name, organization name on your shirt, and you work for a leader that you believe in. And by the way, if you don't have either one of those things, you shouldn't work there.
I think it's a great point. And I appreciate you sharing all of this knowledge and wisdom, and the Fast Leader Legion wishes you the very best. Now, before we move on, let's get a quick word from our sponsor. An Even Better Place to Work is an easy-to-use solution that gives you a continuous diagnostic on employee engagement along with integrated activities that will improve employee engagement and leadership skills in everyone. Using this award-winning solution is guaranteed to create motivated, productive, and loyal employees who have great work relationships with their colleagues and your customers. To learn more about An Even Better Place to Work, visit beyondmorale.com/better. Okay, Fast Leader Legion, it's time for the
Hump Day Hoedown.
Okay, Nathan, the Hump Day Hoedown is the part of our show where you give us good insights fast. And I'm going to ask you several questions, and your job is to give us a robust yet rapid responses that are going to help us move onward and upward faster. Nathan Jamel, you ready to hoe down?
I'm ready to hoe down.
All right. What do you think is holding you back from being an even better leader today?
Discipline. The absolute, and I'm pretty disciplined, but the absolute constant drive to remember every single day, do the stuff, even the stuff you don't want to do. I think that is I believe the number one thing holding me back and all of us back is not anything else other than our own self-discipline and focus.
What is the best leadership advice you have ever received?
Your job is to make your boss look good.
What is one of your secrets that you believe contributes to your success?
I love my job. Every job I've ever had, I love what I do. And I don't love the widgets. I love the job, the fight.
What do you feel is one of your best tools that helps you lead in business or life?
My best tool is my willingness to learn and listen. I take notes all the time, and I always know I always try and be the dumbest person in the room.
What would be one book that you'd recommend to our Legion? It could be from any genre. And of course, we're going to put a link to your book on the show notes page as well.
I would say my books are always the best, but my Think and Grow Rich is probably one of my favorite all-time books.
Okay, Fast Leader Legion, you can find links to that and other bonus materials by going to fastleader.net/Nathan Jamel. Okay, Nathan, this is my last Hump Day Hoedown question. Imagine you were given the opportunity to go back to the age of 25, and you've been given the opportunity to take the knowledge and skills that you have now back with you, but you can't take everything back. You can only choose one. So what skill or piece of knowledge would you take back with you, and why?
Humility. Because I think if I had the humility today that I have today back then, I would have been a better coach. I would have been willing to learn and even take the things that I learned and implement them faster. I'd have been a better leader, a better follower, and ultimately a better person.
Nathan, it was an honor to spend time with you today. Can you please share with the Fast Leader Legion how they can connect with you?
Yeah, www.nathanjamel.com. Send us emails, subscribe to our newsletters. If you have any questions, send it to us. We will respond. Facebook and LinkedIn as well.
Nathan Jamel, thank you for sharing your knowledge and wisdom. The Fast Leader Legion honors you and thanks you for helping us get over the hump.
Thank you for joining me on the Fast Leader Show today. For recaps, links from every show, special offers, and access to download and subscribe, if you haven't already, head on over to fastleader.net so we can help you move onward and upward faster.